And we try and select reviewers for this, for their skills and experience. And as I'm sure you can appreciate, given the openness and the flexibility of Starting Gate and the fact that you will be talking with people at pretty senior levels within department who are formulating policy and wanting that policy to be delivered, there is a skill set of ability to relate, to ask questions sensitively, to probe, and to have the credibility to go on probing if that is needed. The lines of inquiry, it depends very much on the individual policy or project that's under review. But the kind of things one's asking about are, well, you've got this policy, what are its objectives? How well understood are the objectives? What are the view of key stakeholders? Have you engaged with any stakeholders at this stage before you launch the project or program? Then there is a bit about the feasibility of solutions. Have you thought through what your delivery solution may be? Now, again, no assumptions here, no tick box. It's just asking the question, how much thinking has gone into the actual business of delivering the project or program? As a military person steeped in military, I do remember being told that, I think it was Clausewitz in The Art of War, or one of his contemporaries had that famous quote that said, implied that planning for war is everything, but no battle ever actually delivers the plan that had been delivered beforehand, but that did not in any way negate the value of planning beforehand. And the same is true here. Planning beforehand, planning and thinking through the issues. It may be once you get into delivery that it becomes very, very different. But the fact that you've gone through the discipline of the planning and thinking through things in the early stages will undoubtedly help the project to succeed in the longer term. And then there are the organizational aspects. Who is going to implement? How is this going to be implemented? Is it a project? Is it a program? Is it part of a bigger program? Is it part of a department's portfolio? How does it sit? Where does it sit? What's the relative priority compared with other things? How has that, how have all those aspects actually been thought through? As of June this year, the OGC, as it was, had conducted something like 27 starting gates in 15 departments and agencies. And it's very much a new initiative. It's been running now for about 18 months, 2 years, and it's starting to take off in, no doubt, a very big way. And I am certain for the future that Starting Gate will be seen as one of the key mechanisms by which central government and Cabinet Office and the Treasury will ensure that there is efficiency within major projects, and that major projects, when they are set up in the most effective way that guarantees success in the long term. What are the sort of findings that come out of Starting Gate reviews? The first point to say is, actually, they're very similar to those kind of findings that we draw from the analysis of all projects and programs at whatever stage of their life cycle. One is that there are unrealistic timetables, and that people pluck a sort of finishing time and end time for a project and program without thinking through, is this really realistic? Now, sometimes it's driven by all kinds of other factors, and there may be political factors driving a timetable that make it very difficult to gainsay it. I always say in this aspect that one of the lessons and one of the things we try and advise projects and programs is keep your time, cost, quality programs flexible in the early stages. There are times, of course, when you can't, and no minister is going to thank any project that says, oh, by the way, could we defer the Olympics from 2012 into 2013? It's all becoming a bit difficult for 2012. But quite seriously, setting timescales too rigidly, too early on in a project's life is one of the things we see that gives rise to demoralized project teams and undermines the commitment of people, and therefore impinges very much on the likelihood of success in the longer term. The second common theme that emerges is an absence of common understanding of policy objectives. Again, from my own experience of doing reviews, it is fascinating. You just ask a whole, maybe 5, 6 people in a morning that you're interviewing, well, what do you think this program is all about? What do you think the policy underpinning it is? And when you get 5, 6 completely different answers, ranging from that end to that end, you can only draw one conclusion. that there has not been the appropriate unification of thinking around this. Sadly, that happens more often than not. And then there is probably, in some respects, the biggest evil of all, the lack of shared commitment to the strategy. And again, as a reviewer, it comes out very, very clearly, very, very quickly when you find people saying, well, I don't really believe this. But you're part of the program team? Yes, but we're not really behind this because other things are more important. And you think, the commitment, and any major change project or program, if you don't have that commitment at the highest levels to the endeavor, whatever it may be, then you are on the slippery slope down to that project not delivering to time, not delivering within budget, and not delivering to the outcomes required. Now, those may seem rather negative things, and inevitably, when you talk about common themes, you focus on the negatives. There are positives as well, though, and please don't get me wrong, it's not all like that. But the important point about Starting Gate is that you pick this up at a very early stage. And if you can pick it up at an early stage, it's like any healthcare intervention. If you can pick up an illness as soon as there's a symptom, you've got a much better chance of addressing it and turning it round than if you allow the thing to progress and tackle it at a later stage in its life. Finally, of course, I would choose all the nice bits that clients have and departments have fed back to us about how useful Starting Gate has been. Here are just a selection of them. They have not been doctored, I do promise you that. But suffice to say that the SROs of projects and programs, the Directors General of departments who we've worked with, who have been in charge of policy, have been nothing but supportive of the process so far, have found it challenging and have found it very helpful in helping them then move into setting up a project with a greatest chance of success. I'll leave you with that. Thank you very much indeed.